Whether it was deciding if I should buy a silly band from my friend for $3, which Nerf gun to get, if I should pay more for an iPhone over an Android, or if I should spend money on a mattress topper or a Bluetooth speaker, ever since I was younger, it was hard for me to decide what was worth it or not. I would spend hours contemplating on what I should do. How am I supposed to know? So what was my final decision? Well, I was broke, so that was my solution. But I told myself the day I can afford things, I'ma buy everything. I'ma have a collection. And so after I got a job, I did. But then a year passed and most of it ended up sitting in my closet. So I took a step back to evaluate my purchase decisions. I came across this clip of PewDiePie where he says, "I'm a one pair of shoe kind of guy. All these celebrities, they got all kinds of shoe collections, cringe. Once you're able to buy whatever you want, it's not really that exciting anymore. It used to be exciting to save up things. The excitement is now gone. One pair of shoe, supreme." Not that my circumstances could at all compare to his, but the sentiment was there. I started to lose value in plenty of the things that I had. Affording things more easily made me think less and less for each of the purchases I made. I used to look down on people that would thoughtlessly make impulsive purchase decisions. That became me. I lost my sense of value, and I wasn't cool with that. While I'm not ready to let go of all of my shoes, I definitely don't care about all 20. On the spectrum of living in lavish and being an extreme cheapskate, I'm heading towards an unhealthy life lost in consumerism. I'm having trouble finding balance. I'm at a spot where I can afford not everything, but most things, but I also prefer saving every dollar that I can. But still I have the same problem as I did when I was a kid. How am I supposed to know if something is worth it, which one to buy, and if I should buy an expensive this and cheap that, or cheap this and expensive that? What is worth it? Then I remembered this one NBA post. It asks, build your best team with $15. Essentially, this post is a simplified version of how the actual NBA works. Each team has an equal amount of money they are allowed to spend so that the bigger cities can't just buy all the expensive best players and constantly win. This forces each team to really have to evaluate the value of each player and their cost. Life as a consumer is similar to owning an NBA team. Let me explain. Both require strategic decision-making, prioritization, and cost analysis. Some people invest too much on their top priorities, making their lower priorities suffer. Some people invest equally amongst all their priorities and have mediocre performance. Some don't prioritize at all, but there is a consistent pattern with teams that win the championship. They find a good balance by prioritizing finding a captain that will be their foundation, then an elite partner in crime, strong specialists, and solid role players to round out their team. In the same way, I want to prioritize what's most important to me and prioritize less what's less important to me in order to maximize value. Regardless of how much money I have, why would I ever want to waste any? I always want the most for the least. That's what I call winning the championship, buying consumer products. So how do I actually do this with consumer products? Well, number one, I have to recognize how much money I have, and number two, think about what's important to me. This MBA question well corresponds to my financial position in life because I don't have enough to buy the most expensive products, but just enough to buy products that are important to me with the right strategic decisions. And the reality is, everyone comes from and moves to different money classes. While I would say I'm right here, I used to be somewhere else. Some can afford to buy all the superstars, while some might not barely be able to have a team. I'm privileged to be able to decide what to buy, now I just need to figure out what's important to me. Over the years, I've noticed that my social community has been obsessed with personality tests. I realize that humans, and I, love to understand things through universal standards, numbers, or ratings. While I'm not normally a huge fan of a one-size-fits-all formula, I think the discussion it brings is always beneficial. How about I make a universal rating system/formula to see whether a general consumer product is worth it or not? Ideally, it would be able to calculate a numeric value that would tell me how worth it is for me to buy a product in comparison to all other general consumer products. In each and every product I've purchased, I've noticed that there were 4 consistent questions I asked. How important is it? How is the price? What else can it do and what makes it stand out? How well does it do what it's supposed to do? I call that priority, price, features, and quality. Each of these categories are given a rating using a spectrum. I'm going to use a range of 5 words which correspond to numeric values. 5 for amazing, 4 for great, 3 for good. I'm going to have mid drop down to 0. This is because there's a significant drop off when something is on the negative side of a spectrum. Like when I got a D in biochem. That meant I didn't pass biochem, whereas if I got a C, while that isn't a great grade, I would still pass. So if something is bad, I'm gonna actually give it a -5, because when it's bad, I believe it takes away from the positives of other categories as a penalty. On the flip side, rarely, but more often than not, sometimes things are above and beyond. Like when I got an iPhone for like 75% off after a trade-in, that is not just cheap, that's a freaking steal. So I'm going to shift to the tier system and add Supreme as a ranking for 10 points. Occasionally something is not quite amazing, but not quite great either, so I'm going to allow myself to do halvesies if I really need to. Each of the 4 categories are given a word rating or tier letter which corresponds to a numeric score. Those numbers are then averaged out for a value score. I created ranges for each of the scores to correspond to overall value ratings. A score above or below 3 determines whether it is worth it or not. Now ideally, I can plug in my numbers and the formula will tell me how much worth the product is for me. You should try too. My score might say a product is worth it to me, while your score might say it's not worth it for you. And that's the Worth It Formula 1.0. Priority, price, features, and quality equals value. It might work. It might not work. And that's why the goal is over time to make a better and better, more accurate formula with the help of y'all's feedback. I'm interested in discussing this with others since everyone values and defines things differently. What even is value? But I have to be deeply honest and practical. If everything is important, is anything important? If I say every single product is of critical value, then literally every product is worth it, and that's simply not true. Hopefully I can discuss with you our different scores to allow both me and you to make better purchase decisions. Don't get me wrong, just because something isn't worth it to me doesn't mean I'm not gonna buy it. I mean, sometimes I'm gonna just have to cop it, okay? People prioritize things so differently, but there is one product I believe is of critical priority that not everyone has. A place that stores all of our consumer products, that is, a place to live. But the sad truth is, there is a group of people that don't have that. They don't have the worst team because they can't even afford to make a team. That is, the homeless community. For a long time, I've ignored and passed by homeless people. Frankly, sometimes I still do, but I'm starting to get tired of it. I wasn't seeing homeless people as real people, and I want to change that. The more I reflect on how blessed I am, the more I want to share that blessing. I am blessed beyond supreme measures. Most cannot say this, which is why there's something beyond supreme. Sometimes you get something for free. You hit the lottery. I want to make worth it product review videos, and for every product I have a video for, I'm going to raffle that product out as a fundraiser for a nonprofit organization that directly supports my local homeless community. To enter the raffle is simple. For each product video, donate a small specified amount, comment your score and Instagram username for a chance to win that product. But if money is tight, don't worry. I'll do a separate raffle for people in the comments regardless of if they donated or not, as long as I can afford it. What really is worth it? Which is why I present to you my new brand. Great value is cool and all, but I'm looking for something more. Supreme value is prioritizing what's most important to you and prioritizing less what's least important. Supreme value is strategic decision making, being a playmaker, finding game changers and discounts off of discounts. Supreme value is giving something up so that someone else can have it for free. This is supreme value, the most for the least. But the truth is, there's something beyond supreme value. While humans and I myself are obsessed with measuring things in a tangible way, there's something that connects us that can never be measured numerically. A wise man once said, there's a word for wanting more for someone than they want for themselves. Love. So, what even is worth it? What's not worth it?